series. This is season 10 of League 2A. As you can see, we are at Suzuka, and we are here for an hour-long race. And after 10 minutes of qualifying, Pirate Jim put it on pole in his Mercedes. Osman in second in the Toyota Supra. In third is Mark in the Mercedes. In fourth we have Wiz in the Genesis. In fifth we have Phil in the McLaren. In sixth we have Golden Brownie in the Lexus. In seventh we have Infinity Graphics in the Porsche. In eighth we have Infinity James in the second Genesis. In ninth place we have Brucey in the Lexus. In 10th we have Ice in the Nissan. In 11th, camera's gone over, we have Gary in the McLaren. In 12th we have Scott in the old Toyota Supra. And in 13th we have Staffy in the other Toyota Supra. Right, so let's get to the view I want, and let me just check to make sure that you can all hear me. Don't want to do an hour-long race and then have to do it again. Yep, that's all good. Right, so let's get these guys underway. It's lights out, and down to turn 1 we go with Pirate Jim getting a better launch off the line than Osman, who's dropped down to 5th position at the moment. There's a bit of tire squeal going on at the back, but it was Staffy. What happened with Staffy? Oh, he got it on the green stuff. Spun him round. Thought we had a first corner. It's all clean, but one incident. So back to the front we have Pirate Jim, followed by his teammate Mark. So the two Mercedes boys trying to dominate from the off. Wiz there is made up position, the same as Phil, with Osman dropping back from 2nd to 5th place. And we have Infinity Graphics there. Golden Brownie in the gravel. Did he get a push from anyone? Oh, and there's someone else there. James. Let's jump on board with James. Who's he got? He's got Ice behind him. Oh, tiniest little taps there. He gets another tap from someone else. Ice not been able to move anywhere, but it does wait for James to get going again. Let's jump up with Golden Brownie. So all action going from the beginning of the race. He's got Brucey right behind him. Just gets his braking too late on cold tyres. Sends himself into the gravel. Waits for the others to join or go past before he can rejoin. So not the best of starts from some guys at the moment. A few unforced errors, but it's allowed Staffy to catch up to the back of Ice and James for the moment. But Mark has got past Pirate Jim. Let's have a quick look to see where Mark got Jim. Just looks like the inside coming out of the S's up to Diagonal 1 and 2. As I say, everything's happening on this first half of the lap. So that has now promoted Mark up to first. He is on the racing softs. with Jim on the racing mediums. There'll probably be a strategy call of let Mark go, he's on the faster tyre, and let Pirate Jim stick behind him on the slip as best he can to get the most out of his tyres. Is there in third. It looks like a battle here for fourth with Phil Osman and Graphics, with Fushi not far behind as well as they come through. Spoon onto the back straight. Brucey there in 7th place. If you can hear thunder in the background, it is just started to happen here, so sorry about any bangs and crashes. Scott has made his way up from 12th place to 8th, obviously from a few other forced errors. He's done quite well from that. Gary there in 9th place currently. Gordon Brown obviously slipped down to 10th from that incident coming into Degner 1. James there in 11th, Ice in 12th, and Staffy in 13th. So Staffy, after that turn 1 incident, obviously still technically stays in the same place he started, obviously a lot further back than he would have liked after lap 1. Let's jump back to the front mark there. Pulled about a second or so over Jim in just around a lap. It was about this point last lap that he got overtaken by Mark. Was there still under pressure from Phil Osman, Graphics and Brucey, all in a nice tight line. Brucey getting a bit squirrely coming out of Degner 2, coming up to the hairpin. Looks like no moves are going to be happening here. Scott still with Gary right up behind him as well. So it looks like it's the battle for third at the moment, with the two Mercedes boys just pulling away ever so slightly. Looks like Jim has dropped back from the rear end of Mark, even more so from when we were last there half a lap ago. So as we know, the front two are running soft or mediums. Liz is running on mediums, Phil's on softs, Osman on softs, Infinity Graphics on softs, Brucey soft, Scott on medium, Gary on soft, Brownie on medium, James medium, Ice on softs, and Staffy on softs. So all softs and mediums being run at the moment. Also we'll see if any strategies play out that they try for a one stop, for because I do believe this race is a 2-stop race with the high tyre wear of this track. But Pirate Jim there is now under pressure from Wiz, who has just pulled a little bit of a gap over Phil. So Wiz just catching up to the Jim, seeing if he can do anything. Both on the same sort of tyres as well, so Jim's obviously just struggling a little bit more than Wiz is currently on the racing mediums. Has allowed Phil, who's on the softs, to close up to the back of Wiz through the S's, coming into Degner 1. And these guys are still... Graphics has got past of Osman as well. It happened on this lap, so let's quickly jump back. Let's see, it's coming down the main straight. The Porsche of Graphics just obviously got a better drive coming out of Casio Triangle. Obviously the chicane at the end of the lap, and almost be able to hold on to 5th place coming into turn 1. So back where we were. So now Osman under threat from Brucey. Not really much you can do coming into the hairpin, but you can get a better drive out. It looks like we're going 2 nearly 3 wide coming out of the hairpin between Wiz, Phil and Graphics, which has allowed Jim to get away from Wiz and dive up the inside from Graphics into Spoon. Does he keep it? He's now got to keep it tight Just going to have a slower exit coming off, giving Phil the advantage, but graphics makes it work. Brucey slips in behind, doesn't know where to go. Bristow and Watt, it's going to go too wide into 130R. Who's going to make it through alive? Looks like they all do. Clean racing there from these guys. Phil going for a dive up the inside of Osman. Brucey there getting in a bit of a tangle. Not really anywhere he could go, but has allowed Scott and who's that, Gary behind to close up to the back of Brucey. So Brucey now under attack from Scott, who's got the pure speed in that, I think it's 98 Supra. Past Brucey into turn 1. So Brucey slips down a space there, and he was fighting with Osman and Phil for 5th place. He's now down back to 8th. Obviously not the way you want to be going at the beginning of the race, but has allowed this gaggle of cars to spread out a bit more than it was a lap ago. And graphics with his wiper blade on, obviously thinking it's going to be raining at some point in this race. There was a rain forecast, so we'll see how that turns out, if it comes or not. It was supposed to be very light rain, so obviously with it being quite sunny, it might get rid of the rain on the way. But as I look in there, Brucey went up for a dive on Scott. Let's jump on board and see how he gets it done. Does Scott go too deep? Yeah, it looks like he does. Gets a little bit of a tap from Gary, so he does hope Brucey round gets him on the power a bit too early. And I think the speed from that Supra is going to help Scott get back past Brucey into Spoon, which he does. So a great move there by Brucey, but lacking of speed from the Lexus being its downfall there, and Osman going off through Spoon, so we'll jump on with him and see what happened there. He's got no one around him, so it was an unforced error there from Osman. Is he going a bit too hot? It looks like he does. You get it on this green painted grass, whatever you want to call it, AstroTurf, and it slips him right back into the clutches of Scott, Brucey, and is it Gary behind? It is Gary behind, so they're going to go too wide again into 130R. Osman just slips in between Scott and Brucey. Brucey gets held up. Osman there defending his position into Casio Triangle with Brucey right up his bumper, trying to go for the overspeed there down the main straight, but Osman is going to have the slipstream from Scott ahead, so probably will keep that position into turn 1, which he does. So nice defending there from Osman, from pretty much Spoon to turn 1, only losing 1 position. Obviously a handful of seconds has been lost in the meantime. That was all up and down the field at the moment. Golden Brownie there in 10th, bit on his own, driving around obviously from that incident at Degnall 1. James there still battling with ice in 11th and 12th, and Staffy, yeah, not too far behind as well. But Mark has checked out with, oh, they've both got ahead of Pirate Jim. Let's have a quick look to see. Oh, there we go. Let's jump with Pirate Jim because he's in second here, and the next, oh, he gets it too hot going into Casio Triangle, and that allows Wiz and Graphics to slip on by. So not the start that Jim wanted. Started in pole and now he's down to 4th position after just over 4 laps of racing. We'll jump back up to where we were here. See the dirty tyres probably going through the S's. Jim's lost touch of graphics and Wiz, and having to defend from Phil into the hairpin, but looks like graphics got a better hairpin than Wiz did and slips up the inside. So graphics is, I think he started in 7th position, absolutely flying his way up the field to 2nd place. Don't get out there, you're going to get it wrong. He does. That's the one thing you don't want to be doing. So there's me boasting how well he's done to get up to 2nd place, and he's now dropped himself back down to 5th. That's how close these guys are. One little slip up like that costs you a couple of seconds. You drop from 2nd to 5th. Phil looking at the inside of Wiz. Probably Wiz got caught up with graphics going wide, having to slam on the anchors a bit more, and it's allowed Pirate Jim to get back up to 2nd place. So one full lap, Pirate Jim's gone from 2nd to 4th and back up to 2nd again. But Brucey has got past, where's Ozman? Ozman's dropped right back down to 9th place. Really not liking them soft tyres, it seems, at the moment, or gets his way back past Gary into turn 1. Scott there in 7th. Brucey now back up to 6th place. He was fastest lap of the race for himself in that last lap, so really using the most out of his tyres to try and get away from these guys and making overtakes in the process. Let's jump back. I don't think there's anything happening here. Ice is now in 11th. Where's James? James is right back down here in 13th, going by the lap time. He had a bit of an off on lap 5 at some stage. This lap he's up 1/10 this lap on his personal best, so he done it on the last lap of losing the car at some stage. Obviously with there being a fair bit of action, I'll not keep going back to watch everyone's incident, otherwise I'll be here for 2 hours doing these comms. But Mark there has pulled out, what is he on, 33, about 8 seconds over Jim at the moment, who has pulled away from Phil. Phil and Wiz obviously having a bit of a battle at the beginning of the lap, so giving Jim a little bit of breathing room for the time being, but I do think Phil will come at him being on the softer tyre compared to Jim being on the medium. Wiz now under threat from graphics. Graphics looks for a move, sends it up the inside. Both give racing room. There's a lovely little overtake there from graphics on Wiz. I think that Genesis struggles to get turned with it being the same size as the Titanic, and the Porsche being the same size as a little kite in comparison. But has allowed Brucey, who has absolutely flown the last 2 laps, 201s. Well, these guys are doing 204s and 203s, so Brucey really on the charge to catch up to the back of Wiz the last lap, or last couple of laps since he got out of the pack of Osman, Scott and Gary in 9th place. Obviously with all these boys fighting, it is allowing Scott dropping down to 9th place there. Did I miss that? I was looking at the table, I wasn't looking at the track. We get a bit too hot coming out and just runs it wide. Gary gets a better drive coming out of the S's up towards Degnan 1. Is allowing Golden, is it, to catch up? 202s consistently. They're doing Graham's doing 202s as well, so he's just staying the same distance behind these guys up in front fighting. But Ice there with a 2:09. Caught up 2 seconds on Golden Brownie for just the last lap, so he's got into his rhythm now. He's already worn a fair bit of his tyres out doing so, but obviously got caught up in a unfortunate incident with James on lap 1. Staffy there doing 201s as well. James obviously clearly struggling with the Genesis on them mediums around the circuit. But as we come round to finish lap 7, Mark has got a very demanding lead at the moment. Obviously we are only 14 minutes in, so we'll see how that unfolds with another 46 minutes left of the clock to go. So still a long old way, but looking at his tyre wear, I do believe he'll probably be two-stopping unless he can really make the mediums last till the end of the race. So, Pirate Jim, his tyres are pretty good actually compared, so he is on mediums, but if he can get them to nearly the halfway mark, he might be one-stopping. As I said, we'll see how it all pans out near the end of the race of who's done one stops and who's done two stops. Still there, obviously it's going purple again. He's already set the fastest lap of the race. So he is definitely, is he catching up to Jim? I caught him at 1/10 for the last lap, so he has kind of, I think the tyres are starting to wear a bit, and the being level with the medium pace for the time being, but you can see there he's still purple after the first two sectors. So see if his lap time improves. He should improve because we have Jim's slipstream down the main straight after Spoon. I'll jump back to that in a second when he comes across the line. Graphics there in 4th place, so he's worked his way back past Wiz. So Wiz is having a bit of a tough time at the moment. Might have done a bit, got his tyres a bit too hot. Graphics having a nice little power slide through the second part of Spoon. Not the thing you want to be doing, getting onto the back straight. You're going to be losing a heap of speed. But he does keep hold of 4th place for the time being. Osman there to 6th. So these guys every lap they keep on changing place. Brucey down there, he's obviously got them 2 flying laps. I've done a 2:04, so he must have had an off somewhere on lap 7. Scott there has dropped off the back of these guys. He's doing 2:02s, so he's being consistent on the lap times. Just obviously these guys are fighting that little bit less, so they're going to be able to pull away. But Brucey sends up the inside of Wiz. Let's have a quick look at that. Gets the slipstream, pulls out to the side of the Genesis. Even though the Lexus does lack power, it's obviously just that little bit more than the Genesis. Gets it hooked up onto the apex. As always with the Lexus, it's lovely squirrely out of the corners. You get the power down and that's it. It just wants to go sideways. Gary and Osman catching up to the back of Graphics. And I've just seen Wiz has dropped behind Scott as well, so he's really struggling at the moment with his tyres. Seems to have just hit a cliff and not been able to do anything else with them, because he was up battling at the front of this pack and he's now at the back of this pack. Let's see, look at these 4 guys of Graphics, Osman, Gary and Brucey, all covered within about 2 seconds of each other, so they're still keeping it nice and tight. But did Phil set a purple lap? No, he didn't. It was 2 tenths off, but he is up to the back end of Jim, coming up to 130R. Let's see if he can do anything about it. He's lost obviously a lot of time, obviously being there in the dirty air. There's not much he can do coming up to Casio Triangle. Let's just see if he can boot it out. Come on, cameraman, catch up. Oh, Jim comes into the pit, so that releases Phil, which is probably what he wants to see, so he can put the hammer down to try and catch up to the back of Mark. Brucey's come in as well, so Graphics comes along in 3rd Osman in 4th, Gary 5th, so it's released Gary a little bit up to the back of Osman. So it's going to be a bit all over the place at the moment whilst people are making pit stops. So he's up to 7th. Oh, this has got ahead of Golden Brownie. Golden Brownie's got a half a second penalty. Yeah, lap 8. Golden Brownie heading off somewhere. Lost himself about 8 seconds, doing consistent 202s and then suddenly a 210. James there in 10th. Right behind him is Jim. So Jim's come out in 11th place. Put the racing softs on, so he's definitely going to be 2-stopping. He ain't going to make the racing softs last more than 40 minutes for one stint. And seeing he's only put just over 3/4 of a tank, definitely thinks he can only probably do about 8 or 9 laps on the softs for the best strategy. He's stuck behind James here, going through the S's and up to the hairpin. Still can't do anything about him at the moment, but there we go, gets a better turning through the apex of the hairpin, but James gets the better drive coming out, defending his position. So this is not going to be helping Jim for the battle we had with Phil when he came into the pit. But I do feel that Jim will get past James, probably coming up to 130R. Let's get a good drive coming out, looks like he does. Sitting there in his slipstream. Decides to pull out last minute. Is it too late to try and make a move on James? It is, he backs out. So he's going to be stuck behind. Oh, James ran wide. Did he get a touch there from Jim? Let's have a look. No, James just he gets there as a corner and carries straight on into the gravel, but recovers it back to the track. That has released Jim up to 10th place. Probably sat behind James there for half a lap too long. But now we'll see what Jim can do to catch up to the back of Mark. He was about 8 or so seconds behind him before they pitted. Golden Brownie there in 9th. Still got a lot of fuel left, not much on his tyres, but he's trying a one stop. Where's their tyres are slowly dying. A little bit worse off than Golden Brownies, so about the same. Front left's a bit more, front right's a bit less because ice there. Well, just about up to 7th place, but in doing so he's burnt through his tyres quite a bit. Scott in 6th, still going fairly well on them racing mediums. Still got how much fuel has he got? Ice goes around. Just got a little tiniest smidge more than Gary. Osman there has burnt through his fuel a fair bit. Infinity Graphics, if you don't pit this lap, I'd probably advise you pit the next lap, because them tyres are not going to give you any grip for the next lap. So they've got Whistler paper left on the front. Osman looks for the move, probably trying to distract Graphics, but Graphics keeps it nicely on the track. Let's see if he comes into the pit. Mark's gone through, so has Phil. Graphics does come into the pit, so he's had enough of them softs. Straight away he drops down to 6th place before he's even pit crew's got out onto the pit box. So that has released Osman into 3rd place. It looks like he'll have a couple of laps left on them tyres as well. But Phil there is doing fairly well with his racing softs compared to Mark, whose front tyres are fairly worn. But you look at them lap times of 2 minutes and then just 2:01, so you can tell the tyre wear is kicking in now. He's just slowly dropping off the pace from what he was setting at the beginning of the race, but looking on the left hand side there, Pirate Jim has set a purple lap. What lap did he set that on? His last lap. So once he got released from James, he went and set a purple lap the next lap. So that is always going to help to keep ahead of Phil when Phil makes his pit stop. Golden there in 9th, James in 10th, slowly catching up to the back of Golden. So Golden's, since that spin's, not been able to break into the 202s, it's just been the 204s. James has been doing 203s and 202s. Staffy there in 11th, still not pitted. Graphics there, Hilty has just come out the pit. He was fighting with Brucey, I do believe, but he has put less fuel in, has Graphics. Mark has come into the pit at the end of lap 12, so we'll see where he comes out in relation to Jim. Graphics getting it wide, getting it spun. Oh, Graphics, it's not what you want to be doing. You've done that a couple laps ago. How did you do it? Did you get on the power too early? You did. Got the rears lit up, and that was it. Went for a nice little 360 spin. At least you didn't hit the barrier. Oh, you did get a bit of damage. I think that might have been from probably Brucey coming through and not being ghosted on your rear end. But after 30 seconds or so, that will clear itself and you'll be good to go again. So not the outlap that Graphics wanted. James and Wiz are in the pit, so is Osman and Ice. So we'll see where they all come out together, because they were all with Graphics and Brucey, but obviously Graphics now spinning it, coming out of Spoon. But Mark has come out behind his teammate. But Mark's put a full tank in where Jim didn't. So the strategists are playing around with these two boys. We're about 8 seconds the opposite way, and it's hard to tell because Mark has just come out of the pit. But he's just coming through the tunnel and across the line at 54. About 5 or so seconds between the two of them. So that pit stop's cost Mark about 13 or so seconds in total. Golden Brownie there still not pitted. Neither has Scott, Gary or Phil. So the McLaren currently is in 1-2, but they do both have to pit. So we'll see if Phil is going to come in this lap. No, it looks like he's going around for another one. Going to be there with a little bit more fuel than Phil, so he'll be going for another lap. Scott will definitely be going for another couple because he's still got about 20% of fuel left and only used about half of his tyres. And after 26.5 minutes of racing, he's definitely going to be going for the one stop. Because he should be able to make these last for probably another 10 minutes or so. So another 4 to 5 laps before he has to think about pitting in for a new set of boots. So obviously the projected leader at the moment is Jim in 4th place, and second for Mark. Obviously it's a bit all over the place where he took more fuel and Jim didn't, to see where Phil will come out with these two. Golden there in 6th, but he's still yet to pit. Staffy there under pressure from Osman and Brucey, so these two have stayed together since the pit stop. Wiz has dropped off the back of these, and obviously Graphics really not liking these mediums. So it was another off there. So once he is down on his delta time, nearly 2 seconds just on the first sector alone. So clearly that Porsche is good on the softs, but as soon as you put a set of mediums on it, it does not like it. Nice there. He's come into the pit and changed from his softs to the mediums. Probably looking like he's going to two-stop, seeing that he's only put 75% of fuel in with still half the race to go. James is definitely two-stopping, he's got just over half a tank. So he's probably going to go soft and soft to the end, but as you can see on the left-hand side there, Phil has come into the pit, so we'll see where he comes out in relation with Jim and Mark. Gary came into the pit as well, so that's promoted Scott up to first place at the moment, and so Scott's going to be doing a one-stop. Just looking at his tyre wear and fuel he's got after nearly half an hour race, he should be able to get up there. So that's put Jim into provisional pole. Oh no, not provisional pole, because Scott's still got doing a one-stop where these boys are doing a two-stop, so technically Scott has got the upper hand at the moment over Jim. So Phil's popped out in between Jim and Mark in third place. So just like last week with Brucey being in a Nissan sandwich, you've got Phil now in a Mercedes sandwich. We'll see obviously how these boys can catch up to the back of Scott, because Scott will be doing slower lap times, be trying to save some fuel. Golden Brownie there with not much tyre wear left, still got a fair bit of fuel, so he might be able to go to maybe 16 or 17 if you can make them tyres last that much, and then stick on a set of softs and see if he can go a little bit quicker than he is right now, because at the moment he's losing a handful of time to the guys in front and behind. Osman there has got past Staffy defending for his life for 7th place from Wiz. Brucey there up to 9th place, so Gary's popped out behind Brucey in 10th place, and Graphics there in 11th. Was a few unfortunate mistakes from Graphics. See if he can keep it straight coming out of Spoon this time round. He can. Ice there in 12th place. Not had the greatest of races from obviously that lap 1 incident with James. Kind of put both of these two on the back foot from the off. Set decent lap times. Fastest lap of a 2:09. I think he's only 1.6 off the fastest lap, so he's got the pace in the car. Just obviously unlucky with, as I say, that one incident. But Staffy has come into the pit, got no fuel left, so he's done half an hour, or just over half an hour, on a full tank of fuel on the racing soft, so he'll be able to use the racing mediums as much as he likes when he comes out. Here we go, he's filling it up. I don't think there's many battles on track at the moment, but Scott there looks like he'll be coming in the end of this lap as well. So how far is he ahead? About 7 seconds ahead. 7 seconds ahead of Jim at the moment, so that's how much Jim's got to catch up over the next 28 minutes. Over Scott, Jim goes wide, gets it Larry coming on to the main straight, or the back straight, so that's going to give Scott just that little bit of an opportunity to stretch his lead over Jim at the moment. But Phil there with Mark all over his rear end. Is Phil going to be able to defend it? He is. Mark pulls back in, going through 130R. There we go, Scott absolutely zero fuel, so running on fumes after 32, well, nearly 33 minutes of racing. Can Mark make a move on Phil? He goes for the wide line down the start finish straight. Doesn't look like he's got the power at the moment to get past Phil. No, he doesn't. He pulls in behind. Looks like there's a slight tap there, but nothing too bad as they carry on through the S's with Mark looking this way and that to try and get past Phil. Great racing. It shows you how even these two boys are. Goes for a little move up the inside, pushes Phil to get past. Was that intentional or not? Let's have a jump on board. Phil gets decent drive, just gets off the throttle. I wouldn't say there's anything there. There was the slightest of taps. Did push Phil a little bit wide, but Mark did have the inside just coming in or coming out of the S's, coming up that hill. So see if Phil can retaliate with anything with the speed. No, not through the hairpin. So that's put Mark into second place. So it's back to a Mercedes 1-2 at the moment. Golden Brownie's still going around. He's got Osman right behind him. Obviously, Osman's got a nice set of mediums on. Well, a couple of laps old, but they're going to have a hell of a lot more grip than Golden Brownie with on his set of mediums. Osman goes up the inside of Golden Brownie into Spoon. I don't think Golden Brownie's going to do much to defend it. He's not battling Osman currently, even though they're both still got a one stop to go. Golden Brownie will be coming in this lap. This field isn't going to last another lap, but 17 laps is pretty good going, and to make them tyres last as long as they can on that car, I would say it was a good show by Golden Brownie. He's in 5th, but obviously you can see on the map top right that there's a lot of good guys fairly close behind, so he's going to lose a lot of spaces. Osman comes into the pit, so he's done his mandatory 3 or 4 laps he needs to do on that set of medium, so he's going to go to the softs till the end of the race. Graphics there, he's got himself up to 5th, but I do believe with other people pitting that will drop him back down the field with obviously one more stop to go, because he's not going to last on the fuel he's got. Gary there in 6th, Scott in 7th, Brucey in 8th, still getting it sideways. Obviously it's an easy car to catch, but you don't want to be getting sideways too often, it will burn through your tyres, Brucey. And James there, he's got himself past Ice. Yeah, Ice has had an incident, looked like on lap 16. So James has finally got himself past Ice after he has off excursion. I think it was about lap 4 or 5 he had. Setting decent lap times of 2:06 pretty much. Catching up to the back of Brucey, so obviously that Genesis liking the soft tyres more than the mediums that were on it. Osman there in 11th after his pit stop, and Golden Brownie there in 12th after his pit. So we'll see where Golden Brownie comes out when everyone else makes their stop for the final time. Osman's put a little bit more fuel in than Brownie. Phil was coming to the pit at the end of lap 18. Staffy there in 13th, still just trying to make this one stop work. Should do, because he did make over the half-an-hour mark on a tank of fuel. And we should, whilst Phil's having a pit stop, I'm going to have a quick drinks break myself. looks like Scott there got the better of Gary coming down home, start finish straight into turn 1. So Scott's making them softs work over Gary. Oh, Gary was in the pit, wasn't he? No, he wasn't. It was Phil that came into the pit. So where's that put Phil? He's put Phil into 9th place. So he's obviously hoping that everyone in front of him will be pitting. Otherwise he's got to do a lot of overtaking to try and catch up to the likes of Jim and Mark for a podium position. And obviously Scott as well, who has obviously only one stopped and is quite a bit ahead of Phil. Scott's just going out the hairpin, and if you look on the left, Phil's just coming in. So there's about 8 or so seconds between Scott and Phil. It's a lot to ask for the last 20 minutes, 21 minutes of racing to go. And Jim's coming to the pit for the second time as well. So it's all slowly coming together. So we'll see where he comes out in relation to Scott, because Scott was ahead of him. And the graphics there, obviously been hoping to get off these mediums fairly soon, because I don't think he's going to be making it on the amount of fuel he's got left, same as Wiz. But Wiz will probably try and push them softs as long as he can. He's worked himself back up to 3rd from a few incidents that he had, so he's done well, has Wiz, to get himself back up to 3rd, or now 2nd. Now he's got past Jim. So where's that put Jim in relation to Scott? Scott's just gone past him into turn 1. So that has massively helped out for Scott. For Jim. Scott's going to be looking in his mirrors thinking it's race on, with Jim behind. So what can Jim do in the last 20 minutes of racing? They're both on softs, they both got around about the same amount of fuel. Jim's got a little bit more to burn, so he can push a little bit harder. And he's obviously got 3 lap younger tyres as well. So we'll see how Scott can defend from Jim. Obviously Mark is well out in the front for the moment. And it looks like, yeah, Brucey has pitted as well. I was thinking he was in front of, I think it was James, wasn't it? Yeah, he was ahead of James half a lap ago, but he's now down to 11th behind his Lexus teammate of Brownie. We'll see if he can make his 2-stop work more than Brownie's 1-stop. See which Lexus driver had the best strategy for the race. Stuffy there in 12th place, now ahead of Ice, who's just made another pit stop. But I don't think you needed that much fuel, Ice, to get to the end, but unless your car's a 30-year-old girl, but definitely be going to the end of the race now. But Mark there, coming through the S's, got 20 seconds lead over Wiz at the moment. I know they both have to stop. James comes into the pit at the end of lap 21. So Wiz has definitely made the Genesis work better this week than James had. They both had a fairly decent outing at Sardinia last time out. They were in the Group 4s then. Obviously these are the Group 3s. Scott there still ahead of Jim. Scott's Jim's out lap, so can't tell on lap time till the end of this one if he is catching him or not. There'll only be a 10th or 2 because Scott doesn't seem to have dropped back into the clutches of Jim at the moment. Is Gary still? I think Gary's going to go to the end of the race. He's stopped on lap end of 14. Looks like it's going to be around 30 laps for the race, 29 or 30 depending on when the flag falls. Graphics has worked his way up to 6th place, but will be pitting. Looks like the end of this lap. Phil there in 7th. He's got a lot of work to do to catch up to the back of Jim and Scott. They are just going around Spoon at the moment. He's doing 202s, and I think Scott done a 201 the last time around he did. So he's losing time to Scott at the moment, but these two fighting for either second or first, depending on where Mark falls when he's made his pit stop, because I think Wiz is too close to them to be in the battle when he comes out of the pit. Jim just stays behind Scott. Wiz comes into the pit. I think he'll drop down to about 7th. Will he drop down to? Yeah, about 7th or 8th. He'll probably be near Osman also when he comes out of the pit. And Graphics comes into the pit as well. So yeah, Wiz, as you can see there, still hasn't put any. We're just starting to put fuel in at the moment. So Osman's just going across the start-finish line. See if Wiz is going to have a bit of a battle here with Osman. He's still just putting fuel in, just finished putting fuel in, so we're going to be putting them tyres up to temperature first. But Golden Brownie is up to 8th position at the moment, so the one stop definitely working so far for him. He's just set his fastest lap of a 2:17 dead. So yeah, them mediums definitely didn't help the second half of his stint. But it's getting down to the 2:01s, 2:02s currently. So Graphics out of the pit. He's got Brucey right behind him. See, yeah, he did change the tyre. See if Brucey can do anything about Graphics, or if Graphics' car is a bit too quick. Because obviously Graphics was fighting at the front at the beginning of the race, and obviously has dropped back from a few errors down to 9th position. James there in 11th. Obviously coming out of the pit as no, he pitted on the last lap, end of lap 20. So he's done one technically flying lap. Brucey's there looking fighty behind Graphics. Come on, Brucey, get anything done? Doesn't look like it, but will he stay behind him coming up to Spoon and see if he can use the slipstream down the back straight to get past Graphics? He's still sitting behind him. He's got a tighter line, goes up the inside, not the place to be doing it, Brucey. Hard wait until this straight here. I suppose it's compromised his exit, so you have got a better run coming up to 130R, but I think that Porsche's got a bit too much top end speed compared to the Lexus. So nothing Brucey there, nothing Brucey could do coming through there up to Casio Triangle. I'm sure as soon as I skip away from this battle, next time I'm back, Brucey probably will be ahead of Graphics, and I'm not going to skip away. Looks like Brucey's going for the move up to turn 1. He's got a better drive coming out of the last corner. There we go. The Lexus power does work. It is faster than another car, finally. But that puts Brucey up to 9th place, so hopefully he doesn't have to defend too much with Graphics, and he can try and focus on catching up to Golden Brownie in 8th. So as I say, that's Brucey up to 9th place now. And I think that's about where he qualified currently. But the two McLarens, two different strategies have come together. Gary's done the one stop, Phil's done the 2. I'm sure Gary will let Phil past before 130R. Looks like he's already going to let him go halfway down the back straight, so it's going to unleash Phil to catch up to the back of Pirate Jim. And you can see him there just gone through 130R ahead. Jim's getting it all sorts of sideways, but still can't make any progress on Scott ahead. Still about a second or so between the two of them. So Mark can't be far off from pitting. He's got fairly red tyres, and probably only got, I'm gonna say, another lap in them. Probably coming in at the end of lap 25. Got enough fuel to make it last till the pit stop, but yeah, the tyres are definitely dying of death there. But you can see on the track map how far he is ahead. Obviously with one pit stop, it is crazy how much time you will lose in the pits, but Scott's still keeping Jim behind him, getting a little bit wide coming out of Degman 2. But look at the tyre difference between Jim and Scott. Fuel difference is not much at all, but the tyres where it's at the moment, Scott's got nearly down to half on his fronts, where Jim hasn't even touched them. Touched his rears more than he's touched his fronts at the moment. There we go, you can see Phil doing 2-minute deads, where these two are doing 2-minute 2s, so give it time. I think Phil will be up to the back of these guys. Mark is in at the end of this lap. Surprised, he's obviously gone for earlier pit stop than I thought. Shouldn't burn through, if you change the racing softs, you shouldn't burn through them at all before the end of the race. Can't remember what he started on. He started on the, he started on the softs, so he's going to have to go to mediums. So it really will change the order if he's having to go to mediums. Where's he going to come out? Oh, he's just coming out the pit now. And there goes Scott and Jim. But will Mark have anything to fight with being on the medium tyres, with the two in front being on the softs? It shows you how close these guys are racing. There's less than 2 seconds between them after 50 minutes of racing, and the strategies have worked out well for the Mercedes guys. They're obviously both together. Jim having a look at the inside, but thinks better of it, but that's going to give Phil even more of a red flag to try and chase him down like a raging bull. Gary there obviously dropped off the back from Phil after letting him past. Osman there a bit on his own, trying to catch up to Gary, really catch him up. He's 2, 3, he could do. He's catching about 2 seconds or so a lap, and he's only about, I'd say, about 10 seconds behind, so it's going to be very close to see if Osman can get Gary before the checkered flag, because they're doing 2 minutes deads as well. So loving the half a tank of fuel, a fresh set of softs. Golden Brownie there really dying on his tyres, but still setting 202s. A fairly worn set of softs, but Brucey has definitely closed in, doing 201s and 2-minute deads with his fastest lap on the last lap. So he's doing the same as Osman and trying to chase down the guy in front of him who's a good couple of seconds ahead. And James there kind of following Brucey there, not really being able to catch up, but if Brucey can catch up to Golden Brownie, I'm sure James probably thinking the same thing. We've only got 8 minutes left of the race to go. Graphics there, it's an unfortunate race for graphics. There's a few unforced errors, definitely caused them to lose a high scoring points position in this round. We did have a decent round last time out. Staffy there, after that turn 1 incident, all by himself by getting it slightly wide. Still having a battle with ice there for 12th and 13th. So all isn't lost there for Staffy, but I do think the ice there has got better drive coming out, but I think the Supra's going to have the top end over the Nissan down the start finish straight. Ice goes for a move, thinks better of it, backs out, and Staffy gets on that grass again with the Astro. not what you want to be doing when you're having a little battle. It's unlucky there for Staffy. But Scott, he's been able to pull away from Jim. Jim's dropped down back to third, so Jim's had a really bad lap this time round. Obviously thinking with Mark being on fresher tyres, he'll have a better chance of catching up to Scott in the dying seconds, or dying minutes, I should say, of the race. Scott there was started in 12th, and he's worked his way up to first position with just less than 6.5 minutes to go. You wouldn't have been able to believe it at the beginning if you said that Scott was going to be leading with just a little bit of time left of the race, and leading it by about 2 to 3 seconds, I would say, from Jim, who's got back past Mark. So the strategists are clearly saying, no Jim, you've got the soft tyres, you get after Scott. Feel what you're doing. Getting it in a bit too hot there into turn 1, but he has caught up to the back of Mark. But that's just going to have dropped him off a second or so from the back of Mark there, and Gary there. It looks like he's getting, what did he lose? He lost another 1.5 seconds there to Osman that lap round, so with 3 seconds between them and about 2 laps, maybe 3, depending on where they cross the line, it's going to be close for 5th place between Gary and Osman, who is there in 7th, just a little bit distance behind. Golden Brownie there with Brucey closing in on him. Will the one-stop work over Brucey? I don't think it will, because Brucey is doing 201s, Brownie's doing 203s, and mid 203s at that. And there's definitely less than 2.5 seconds between the two Lexus guys at the moment. James there doing 201s as well, so will he be able to get up to the back of Golden Brownie before the end of the race? He is about 3 or 4 seconds, I'd say, behind Golden Brownie, so it will be close for James, that's for sure. Oh, what's happened to Gary? He got up on the Astro. He done exactly the same as Graphics did, and then had to wait for Wiz to get past, and yeah, not what you want to be doing with less than 5 minutes of the race to go. But it looks like if he can get it going again, he's going to stay ahead of Golden Brownie, or will he? Golden Brownie's just coming out of Spoon. Gary's going to him just go past. It looks like he will. So Gary loses, looks like 2 positions there, but he will have really dirty tyres. Probably one ride this corner. Yeah, he does a little bit, keeps it on the track. Oh, runs it deep, runs it very deep. Cuts across in front of Golden Brownie. The cameraman is absolutely shocking. Golden Brownie lost a position to Brucey there. So let's just jump on board. Oh, nothing Golden Brownie could do. I think he thought Gary was going to slide across the track, try and nip underneath him, but it's allowed Brucey to slip on by his Lexus teammate. So currently the 2-stop for the Lexus boys is working, so it has probably allowed James to catch up to the back of Golden Brownie. It definitely has, he's definitely caught up. What did he catch up that lap? 2:03.7, 2:01.5, so yeah, 2.2 seconds that lap, but he is only about 2 seconds behind Golden Brownie. But we'll jump up the front. Scott still leading with 3 minutes left of the race, plus added time for when they cross the line, so I think they will get to lap 30. They'll cross the line with about 30 seconds left of the race, so As long as they've all got enough fuel, these boys at the front will be good. Jim's not been able to make any ground up on Scott since he came out of the pit. He came out of the pit at lap 20. Scott's just been able to stay a second or 2-3 seconds ahead of Jim. Obviously didn't help with the strategy or strategist telling Mark to go past and then saying no, we made the wrong mistake, let Jim go. He's on the soft compound. But that incident from Phil on lap 27 into turn 1 definitely cost him potentially a podium position, as he can really catch up to the back of Mark. Ozman and Wiz there. Wiz has been able to catch up to the back of Ozman, but I don't think Ozman is going to be close to see if he's going to be doing another lap or not. Red light is flashing on his fuel. He's got no tyres. Wiz has definitely got fuel, so I think Ozman is fuel saving just to make sure that he's going to get to the end and not lose any more positions. James has got past Golden Brownie. Does he do it? He gets him just out of Casio Triangle. That's cool on it. Golden Brownie hits the wall. Probably looking in his mirrors to see where James is, and that's going to definitely hamper your speed coming down start finish straight. So it's a nice easy pass for James to do. He doesn't have to lose any time at all getting past Golden Brownie. But does allow that allow graphics? I don't think it will. Gary there in 11th. He's obviously had a few offs since I was last with him. And he had that incident at Spoon. See, dirty tyres is a massive factor in this game. It takes a good half a lap or so to get clean. Ice there in 13th. Hasn't pulled much out on Staffy since he got past him a couple laps ago. Oh, Scott's gone wide. What's happened with Scott? Has he run out of tyres? Looks like he is. He's gone into Spoon. Has he gone through Spoon too hot? Yeah. Oh, he just keeps it on the track. Gets on the power. Gets it on the Astro. That makes him slip down from first to second to third. Will Phil get past him? Looks like Phil's looking to around that. Phil gets past Scott as well, so Scott's had everything taken away from him, and the dying laps. Now he's got dirty tyres going through 130R as well. So Pirate Jim is praising Gran Turismo gods. We're right there. He's got one lap to hold on to first place, with his teammate just behind him, going to be his defensive driver for the last lap of the race to hold off from Phil. Scott probably absolutely screaming at himself in that helmet. He's still got dirty tyres running off wide. Ozman there has finished. Let's just jump back. He's dropped off a bit from Wiz. He's just letting off the throttle there just to make sure he doesn't go another lap. So Ozman finishes in 6th place. Brucey with a decent result here for 7th place, just ahead of James. Ooh, Golden Brownie and Graphics having a battle there. So Brucey in 7th, James in 8th, Golden Brownie in 9th, with Graphics just behind in 10th. So a good recovery drive from Graphics after the incidents that he had. Gary comes home in 11th. Ice finishes in 12th place, with Staffy in 13th. But let's jump back up to the boys up front. Wiz did make it on to another lap as well. But he was a bit far back from these guys, but Phil went for a move up there on the hairpin of Mark. So he did catch up to the rear end of him, but wasn't able to do anything about it. Will he wait for the back straight, try and go side by side through 130R, put the pressure on Mark, who has obviously is on the medium tyres, where Phil's got fairly worn softs. So he's not going to have much grip if he does go side by side, but I think he is a bit too far behind. Mark does defend a tiny bit. Phil there. Oh, Mark's gone wide. What happened with Mark? Let's jump on board. He hits the Astro, runs it wide, and here comes Phil. Oh, and then gets his braking too late. Too late for Mark. So that is Jim for the win, with Phil in second, Mark in third, and Scott in fourth. And we'll just wait for Wiz to come across the line in fifth place. See if you've liked what you watched. Obviously, please hit that like button, and obviously hit the subscribe button as well. Obviously, then you'll get a notification of when I do lives in the future. Obviously, thank you very much for joining, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.